episode 15. I'm Cindy and this is Speak Up or Submit. So today I want to talk about an interesting interaction I saw as I was watching RFK's confirmation hearing for being nominated to lead the Health and Human Services Department. And he has been a very controversial candidate. Controversial because he is labeled as anti-vax, he's labeled as quack science and conspiracy theorists. Now, I don't agree with everything that RFK says and states. However, I do think that he asked some very important questions that I find it logical for our politicians that are in those positions to serve us, the public, that they should be curious about and at least want to go and ask those questions themselves or find out the answers. So understanding more about the efficacy of vaccines, understanding more why we see and have been seeing this real giant increase in autism, understanding why we have, I think what I heard today in the confirmation hearing, 1 in 3 kids is either diabetic or pre-diabetic. When we go back to the 1960s, that was almost unheard of. So what is going on that we have such an unhealthy population, and we can't just all point it to, well, everybody's making poor choices. Everybody's just making bad choices. What have we done, or what has been done in order to inform the public on the different options they have, or better options or better choices they can make in order pertaining to their health? And so that's why I wanted to watch this confirmation hearing today, so that I can see what he had to say and just to hear the questions that are being asked. So honing in on this interaction, Elizabeth Warren comes right out the gate and she's like, can you commit to not taking any money from pharmaceutical companies, yada, yada, yada. And RFK is like, yes, of course, take a look.
You're right, because to say yes, because every American has the right to know that every decision you make as our number one health officer is to help them and not to make money for yourself in the future. So I want to talk more about money. I'm looking at your paperwork right now. In the past 2 years, you've raked in $2.5 million from a law firm called Wisner Baum. You go online, you do commercials to encourage people to sign up with Wisner Baum to join lawsuits against vaccine makers. And for everyone who signs up, you personally get paid. And if they win their case, you get 10% of what they win. So if you bring in somebody who gets $10 million, you walk away with $1 million. Now, you just said that you want the American people to know you can't be bought. Your decisions won't depend on how much money you could make in the future. You won't go to work for a drug company after you leave HHS. But you and I both know there's another way to make money. So, Mr. Kennedy, will you also agree that you won't take any compensation from any lawsuits against drug companies while you are secretary and for 4 years afterwards?
Well, I'll certainly commit to that while I'm secretary. But I do want to clarify something, because you're making me sound like a shill. I put together that case. I did the Science Day presentation to the judge on that case to get it into court.
Mr. Mr. Kennedy, it's just a really simple question.
Yeah,
You've taken in $2.5 million. I want to know if you will commit right now that not only will you not go to work for drug companies, you won't go to work suing the drug companies and taking your rake out of that while you're a secretary and for 4 years after. It's just
I'll commit to not taking any fees from drug companies while I'm secretary.
No, I'm asking about fees from suing drug companies. Will you agree not to do that?
You're asking me to not sue drug companies,
no,
and I'm not going to agree to that,
drug
Senator.
Companies as much as you want.
I'm not going to agree to not sue drug companies or anybody.
So let's do a quick count here of how, as Secretary of HHS, if you get confirmed, you could influence every one of those lawsuits. Well, let me start the list. You could publish your anti-vaccine conspiracies, but this time on U.S. government letterhead, something a jury might be impressed by. You could appoint
I
people
don't
to the
understand that.
CDC vaccine panel who share your anti-vax views and let them do your dirty work. You could tell the CDC vaccine panel to remove a particular vaccine from the vaccine schedule. You could remove vaccines from special compensation programs, which would open up manufacturers to mass torts. You could make more injuries eligible for compensation even if there is no causal evidence. You could change vaccine court processes to make it easier to bring junk lawsuits. You could turn over FDA data to your friends at the law firm, and they could use it however it benefited them. You could change vaccine labeling. You could change vaccine information rules. You could change which claims are compensated in the vaccine injury compensation program. There's a lot of ways that you can influence those future lawsuits and pending lawsuits while you are Secretary of HHS, and I'm asking you to commit right now that you will not take a financial stake in every one of those lawsuits so that what you do as Secretary will also benefit you financially down the line.
I'll comply with all the ethical guidelines.
That's not the question. You and I, you have said
You're asking me, Senator, you're asking me not to sue vaccine pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, you are. That's exactly what you're doing.
Look, no one should be fooled here. As Secretary of HHS, Robert Kennedy will have the power to undercut vaccines and vaccine manufacturing across our country. And for all of his talk about follow the science and his promise that he won't interfere with those of us who want to vaccinate his kids, the bottom line is the same. Kennedy can kill off access to vaccines and make millions of dollars while he does it. Kids might die, but Robert Kennedy can keep cashing in.
Senator, I support vaccines. I support the childhood schedule. I will do that. The only thing I want is good science, and that's it.
How about then say you won't make money off what you do as Secretary of HHS?
You can see how somebody could be like, well, why do you want to make money off of a lawsuit? You know, why can't you just say, yeah, sure, I won't take a cut? Does it matter that he gets a cut or not? Does him getting a cut impact the outcome of that lawsuit if we have a fair legal system? If we have a legal system that's based on evidence, facts, objective criteria, then what does it matter if he gets a cut? That's the thing that I'm asking myself, that why is she so intent on him committing to that when whether he gets a cut or not, that should have no bearing on the outcome of the lawsuit. And what should be a primary concern is, do we have drug companies that are saying truthful, accurate, or providing truthful, accurate information regarding the drugs that they are providing children and adults? But I think the way that she was trying to spin it is she was like, well, you got $2 million from this lawsuit, or I think it was $2 million. You got $2 million from this lawsuit, and how do we know you're not going to get any more? Well, Elizabeth, why don't we ask all of your colleagues in politics how much money they're making? $2 million sounds like a drop in the bucket when you look at Nancy Pelosi, and what is she worth? $200 million, $400 million, something like that? And you're like, okay, she's either, her or her husband are either the most prolific traders, or is it that you all have inside information because you guys regulate the industries that these corporations operate in? And so I don't know if any of you have seen this Nancy Pelosi stock tracker, which is brilliant, and it basically tracks Nancy Pelosi's investment strategies, like what she's doing. Like recently she sold stock in Apple and Nvidia. That tracker was put together as a way to kind of point a finger to the hypocrisy that exists with our politicians, that they want to tell RFK and other people, you can't benefit at anything at all, but why don't they want to pass a law that prevents politicians when they are serving in office to not be able to invest, or to not be able to invest in an industry maybe that they regulate, to not be able to invest in companies for a certain amount of time. I don't know, something. But I'm sure that there could be some type of regulation that could prevent insider trading from happening. I mean, AOC, who for me is by no means my favorite, she even called it out. Now, I don't know if she participates in this or not, but take a look at this clip where she's talking about it with Jon Stewart.
There is an insane amount of hypocrisy, and the hypocrisy is what gets exploited to use the cynicism. And wherever there's a hypocritical window, for example, I think one of the most biggest examples of this is insider trading in Congress. Like,
dude, I don't know if do I give snaps? I don't know what the kids do anymore, but like, dude,
it is
wow, that's so crazy.
It's so crazy. It's crazy. I mean, like, and this is the thing. It's like people think that everyday people are stupid. I'm like, do you all really think that people don't see this shit? Like,
they sit on a committee, they get information about a drug or a contract or a thing. They immediately make a call. The stockbroker changes things, and their portfolio swells.
Explodes. It explodes.
What are we doing?
And you're doing this on public trust.
Right.
On like taxpayer finance, public, facilities. Like, it, of course.
You're regulating the market that you're trading on.
Exactly. And
you
like
run the casino.
And then we're supposed to act like money doesn't only corrupts Republicans? Give me a fucking break.
And so I present this information because I think that as I've gotten older and as I have become more interested in politics and how integrated it is into my daily life, my personal life, my family's life, I really think that it's important to be knowledgeable and share different perspectives so that we can at least begin to have dialogue and begin to question things and have conversations with folks, and those folks can have conversations with other folks. We no longer have dialogue. Dialogue was something that was actually suppressed, I feel like, for a while, where it's like nobody could express any opinion other than whatever was the popular opinion. Nobody could question anything that had been decided as truth by the mainstream media or mainstream culture. And now we are moving into a direction where we, as it always should have been, is being able to freely and openly have dialogue without being labeled anything. You're just a person who has independent thought and likes to look at things critically. And sometimes you're going to get it right, sometimes you're going to get it wrong. But you'll never be able to get it right or know that you were wrong if you aren't able to question things. And so thank you for stopping by, everyone. I hope you all have a lovely week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.